Hello everyone and welcome to the June vlog. I am going to attempt to weigh out my hand cream ingredients while talking to you. So hopefully I won't get too distracted and I'll get everything right in here. But I figured it was better to watch me do something rather than just stand there and talking at a screen like I usually do. Now before we get too far into this vlog, I do want to address one issue, and I don't want to offend anyone because I know that it is never left in malice and that it is always left with good intentions and care and everything else. But can we please stop leaving comments on my video about how tired I look or how you've been thinking I've been looking really tired. As I said, I know that it's not with ill intent or anything like that, but this style of comment is being left, if not once, at least 2 or 3 times on every vlog I've done for the last 7 or 8 months. And last month, within 11 minutes of publishing a 2-hour vlog, I had a very similar comment left, which meant that the person hadn't even watched half of the vlog before leaving that comment, which meant that they hadn't actually got to the part where I really explained why I was constantly so tired. And it made me cry. It really did make me cry. And I'm not saying this to make them feel bad, but if they had actually got to the end of the video and seen that I was struggling with perimenopause, they would know that I'm a little bit hormonal, a little bit emotional. And when someone says to a woman whose hormones are just raging all over the place, "You look tired," that is not how it computes or translates into their head sometimes. And I know that is not anyone else's problem, it is my problem. But it has just been this common thing again and again and again. And I was trying to explain why I was so tired, trying to share something that so many other people are probably experiencing, and I just felt like I'd done this 2-hour vlog for no reason at all. That was just how it translated in my head. I know that's not what was meant. I know it was out of care, but it is getting a little tiring, for want of a better word, of seeing everybody commenting upon how tired I look. And I will admit, I know that I look especially tired today, and that is because between hubby and Peppa, I probably only got about 2 hours worth of sleep last night. So hubby was on one side of me doing some deep breathing exercises, and that was keeping me awake. Now I know most partners just whack their partner when they are, snoring or deep breathing or whatever else they do in their sleep. But there's actually a much bigger issue for my husband in that he doesn't sleep very well. I'm not going to go into it. It's his medical history to share, not mine. But I do appreciate the fact that when he is snoring or whatever else during his sleep, it generally actually means he is asleep, which is a rarity, and therefore I don't wake him up. I just let him get on with it, so to speak. So I had that, and then on the other side of me on the floor, Peppa was on her bed, and she decided last night was the best night to groom every single hair on her body. And now I could have actually quite easily have got up and got into one of the 2 spare beds that we do have, but the problem is our bed was nice and warm. And if you did watch that last vlog and you heard that I was in perimenopause, one of the things I said in there is that unlike many other women who tend to have hot flushes, I get cold. One of the things is with women in perimenopause is that there's this real trouble for the body to regulate body heat. And for me, I have a problem with keeping warm, and it's got worse and worse over the years. So if I'm warm in bed, there's no way I'm getting out of that bed to go and get into another one, because everyone else can't sleep during the night and keep quiet while they're sleeping. So I actually didn't want to get out of bed because I knew that the spare bed was going to be cold. But then by about 4:30 in the morning, I started to get the night sweats. I'd been in and out of sleep all night. I was exhausted and I started getting these night sweats, and I just thought, you know what, I am so hot now. The bed is too hot. I'm going to go and get into the spare bed. The other reason I didn't want to actually go and get into the spare bed is because from past history, when I've got up when I'm sick or something and go and sleep in the other bed, so that I'm not disturbing hubby too much, Peppa generally always follows me. So I thought, well, you know, if I go and get in the other bed, she's still going to come into the other room and sit there and continue her grooming. Luckily, when I did wake up at that point, she had decided that she was exhausted from, she was exhausted from all her grooming, and was actually asleep when I got up and snuck off to the spare room. But I got into the spare bed, and despite the fact that I was sweating from these night sweats, I got into that bed and it was cold. It was really, really cold, and it took me about half an hour to warm back up enough so I could actually go back to sleep. So I really didn't get much sleep at all last night. So I do know I am tired. Please don't comment on it. I really have, I don't want to say had enough. I am tired of seeing those comments. It is really, really emotional for me at the moment to see those comments. And I know you mean well, but please don't comment on how tired I am looking. So with that being said, let's move on to some more positive things. So as I said, I am making a batch of hand cream here. I have almost sold out of a couple on my shelf, so we need to replace them, particularly the cashmere silk and the lavender dreams one. So we're going to make those up. Also going to make up a few samples as well to give out in orders and purchases in the shop. I also have to make some facial gel serum because I'm almost out of that one. So while this is heating up, facial gel serum is actually a cold process item, so I'll make that up while this is heating. What else have I got to do today? I've got to finish labeling up some deodorants that I made yesterday, get the labels on those. Now, why is there no footage from me yesterday making those deodorants? That is because when I got into the shop yesterday, I discovered I forgot the SD card for the camera, so there was no footage to film. Now, yesterday was actually Tuesday, so that's not normally a day I would be in the shop, but I am actually trialing new shop hours again. I know I did this at the beginning of the year, and I said it wasn't worth it. I basically did Tuesday to Saturday for a month at the beginning of the year, and it really wasn't, you know, that productive. I didn't get any extra people. The stress of coming in on a peak hour day was just too much. And it was actually costing me more in petrol, time, and that sort of thing. So I just went back to doing my Wednesday through Sunday. But Sundays are getting worse and worse and worse. So I came in the other day and I literally made one sale of a lip balm. And I went home to hubby and I said, this is ridiculous. It's actually costing me more money to go in on a Sunday than if I actually just sat at home and did some computer work on a Sunday instead. I said, but I don't only want to open 4 days a week. That's crazy. I said, so I'm going to have to try doing Tuesdays again. And I decided that instead of doing, let's put this on the double boiler, I decided that instead of starting at 9 o'clock on a Tuesday, I was going to start at 9:30. Now, I know some people did say to me when I did that vlog last time, you know, you don't have to start in, you know, at 9 o'clock and, you know, come in after peak hour. But I didn't want to, and they were saying open at 10, but I didn't want to open at 10 because that's a whole hour less than that I actually have to trade. Let's go and label up some stuff while I'm chatting to you. So I didn't want to start at 10 o'clock because that's a whole hour less of trade. And I also didn't want to extend my hours past 4 o'clock because I have to get to the post office. Now, there is a post office that's only a 10-15 minute walk up the street, but it's one of these bigger post offices where when you go into them, they have a queue a mile long and you end up standing in line for 15 minutes waiting for people to get passports, pay their bills and whatever else people are doing in the post office. And all I want to do is walk in and go, there you go, bye. And that's literally all I do. Now, a lot of the post offices here stopped doing like the drop boxes where you could just walk in and put your parcels and then they picked them all up. They stopped doing that during COVID and they just never brought them back in. The post office up there said to me, because I said, I'm standing in line for 15 minutes to drop off a parcel. What else can I do? They said to me, just go and grab a trolley from next door, put your parcel in there and leave it by our side door and we'll take them in. And it's like, I don't really want to do that. Because I'm using somebody else's trolley. Someone actually might need that trolley to shop in the IGA. Then you actually couldn't find the trolleys to be able to go and grab one. And then there's the thing that you're leaving somebody else's parcel with their address, their name and address details sitting in a public area where anyone can actually go and help themselves. Who's actually watching those parcels that are sitting there at that side gate? So I just didn't feel comfortable going into that post office and doing that. So I always take them to the one that is just down the street from my house. Like it's literally, I can walk down there in 15, 20 minutes. So I always take them there. So I have to leave the shop at 4 o'clock to make sure that I get to that post office before they close so I don't have to drop them off in the morning. So basically, I don't want to finish any later than 4 o'clock in the shop. So I decided that rather than doing a 10 o'clock start, I'll go for in the middle and we'll do a 9:30 because leaving at 9:30 should mean that all the school traffic's gone by the time I get out of the area, like the little area that we live in, get into the main, sort of where all the main roads are. All that school traffic should have gone by then. And it has worked out that way. I get down to the big main road, Caloundra roundabout, most of the traffic is gone from there. So instead of doing an absolute crawl through there, it's actually meant to be a 100k road, and during peak hour they bring it right down to 60, and normally you're lucky to do 20 kilometres per hour down this road. And today when I came down it, the traffic was all clear. The 60 signs were still on, which is really frustrating considering there was no traffic, but at least I got to do 60 down the road, down to the big roundabout, so that didn't take me any time to get down that bit of road. All the school zones are over, and that's been the same for the last 2 times I've come in. So I'm pretty happy doing a 9:30 start. So even if I do decide to give up on Tuesdays again, I think I'm just going to keep that 9:30 start going forward for the weekdays, and Saturdays I'll still start at 9 o'clock because I will still shut at 2 o'clock on a Saturday, have a short day along with all the other shops. So yeah, we are trialling new hours, which basically Tuesday through to Friday is now 9:30 till 4, and then we do Saturday 9 till 2. And the reason that's going to actually affect people who shop online is because it does affect what days I actually get to the post office. When people were placing orders, Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, up until 1 o'clock on a Sunday, their orders were going out on a Monday. Now, if you place your orders after 1 o'clock on a Saturday, they're not going to go out until Tuesday. So it will affect online customers a little bit, but I think it's going to be well worth it for my sanity and to bring extra people in, because I did actually have a few people in the shop yesterday, which was really, really nice. I've also had a couple of customers this morning. I've been trying to do the intro and I keep getting people come in, which is a really, really good problem to have. I almost thought I'm not going to do a vlog this week because I can't get the camera going. But anyhow, here we are. So yeah, we've got a few things on for this week. As I said, we've got that hand cream going. I've got to make some face cream. I am also working on my new website. I've really been procrastinating about it. That's what I'm going to blame it on, but I do know it is partly due to this horrible perimenopause, because the energy's not there, the enthusiasm's not there. I still love everything I do. It's just I I have worked on spoon theory for quite a while, ever since I learned about it. You know, you have so many spoons that you can use throughout the day. And I've noticed that once upon a time I used to have serving spoons, and then I went down to dessert spoons, and these days I'm right down to teaspoons. So my little spoons are just getting a little bit too small, and I can't get a lot done during the day. So I've been really putting off doing this website, but I've decided, well, I've only got 2 weeks until when I thought I might actually launch it. So I'm hoping this week I might be able to do a little bit into it. Basically, it's going to be a website where I put all the recipes I've been sharing on Patreon onto this website, which means you can go directly to the website and purchase rather than going onto Patreon, creating an account and then purchasing from the shop there. I think some people just feel safer. And then there's also Patreon isn't available to all countries for login, whereas you should be able to actually log on to the website. So that will make it easier for people. So that's something else I want to work on this week. What else? Oh, I forgot to do it again. I'll tell you what, this brain fog and forgetfulness, it's driving me nuts. I have finally got rid of 2 flavors in my lip balm range, and I actually want to bring out 2 new flavors. Been wanting to do it for ages, and I've been meaning to bring the new flavors in. So where is my phone? Let's set myself a reminder so that I remember to bring in the lip balm flavors tomorrow. I'm having to do this more and more and more, is leaving myself reminders on my phone to do stuff. So let's say lip balm flavor. I even thought about it this morning while I was eating breakfast, and then just completely and utterly forgot about it again. So hopefully we'll get those out, because I want to launch those in July. And then I'm not sure what else we've got today. Yesterday was actually quite a busy day packing orders. I had quite a number of them. I've launched my end of financial year sale to my Pamper Club members, so a few of them ordered, and then I had some non-Pamper Club orders as well. I did actually film the packing of all of them, so I might even sit down this afternoon and start editing some of those videos to make some reels. But other than that, we're going to just see where this week takes us, because honestly, I said to my husband last night, I said, I'm not coping. I am just not coping with this at the moment. So we're just taking, I'm not even taking each day at a time, I'm taking each hour at a time at the moment. So we'll see where we go with the vlog. Anyhow, that is enough chit chat, because oh my goodness, it looks like we've been doing that for 20 minutes. That is on the boil. I've just finished wrapping those up. We'll go and pop them away, and then I'm going to go and get my ingredients for my gel serum, and then we are going to get on to packing an order for, come on, refresh. Oh dear, it's very slow. Natalie, we're going to get an order packed for her, and we'll get that sent off this afternoon. is about 3:25. I've just finished labeling up some extra little samples of the cream cleanser. I actually made this last week. I've run out of my normal sample sachet things, and I put an order in for them last week, and then I realized they weren't actually going to get here until next week. So towards the end of June, it's like I've got all these products I need to put in their sample packs rather than just having them sitting on the side. So I ordered these ones from off Amazon, and they are awful, absolutely awful. They are a little bit smaller than what I usually use, which isn't a problem. Like, they're only like 1/2 centimetre smaller, but they just will not seal. I've got my heat sealer on at full temperature, brand new wire in there, and I cannot get them to seal properly. And it takes me 3 or 4 attempts to get them done. And every time I go to seal them, even though I'm not really filling them up that much, I've got the creams and stuff just comes out of them. They're awful. Anyhow, they're labelled up. Hopefully I get the new ones sooner than what they said. It is about 3:25, and I'm going to shut my door in about 5 to 10 minutes. I am going to go meet hubby down at the local vet with Peppa. She's had this thing for a little while now where she keeps chewing at her feet. And we're trying to work it out, trying to stop her as well, because, you know, a lot of puppies will start chewing at feet and stuff, and it's up to their mums to stop them. And because she was in kennels and the situation, she's never really had a mum dog to show her too much. So we've been trying to stop her from chewing her feet, and we were trying to work out what it was. It's not boredom, because she can be playing and then she just stops and starts chewing her feet. She does have this thing, she loves to chew. It's like this, there must be a chemical release in her brain for it, because if you give her a stick or a chew toy or something like that, we give her the nylon toys because she chews so hard, and she sits there and she chews and chews, and if you look at her, her eyes have rolled back in her head, and she's just in this pure state of bliss. And we're kind of thinking, well, if she's getting that sort of almost like high from off chewing, and she's doing that to her feet, they would be red raw by now, the way that she chews things. So we didn't think it was so much that either, but we've just tried everything to try and get her to stop chewing. Sorry, I thought someone was going to come in then. So we've tried absolutely everything to try and get her to stop chewing. We've told her off. I haven't put stuff on her feet because I can't find the bitter apple that you used to be able to put on dogs' feet to get them to stop chewing. And I haven't put anything else because I don't want her to lick the paws either. So we've kind of just been telling her off and then praising her when she's not chewing her feet. And it's been going all right. And then on Monday, I was busy working on the computer and I heard her chewing. And it's just like, I think, my God, what is she doing? And when I looked, she was going at her feet. And when I looked at her back foot, it was bright red and she chewed all the fur away. And it's like, oh, God. Right, we've got to get her down the vet. So I'm too late to do anything at like 6, 7 o'clock at night. So I took her out to hubby, dumped her on his lap and said, look at her feet. She needs to go to the vet. So tomorrow when I'm at work, Tuesday, can you call the vet, get her booked in? He booked her, he told me the earliest appointment was 4:30 on Wednesday, and I'm pretty sure that was so that I would say, I'll leave work early and I'll meet you down at the vet. I'm pretty sure that's what's happened, and of course, I fall for it. So I am going to leave early today and go and meet him down at the vet and try and find out what it is, whether she's actually allergic to something. We know when we first moved into this house, a lot of the plants in the backyard were actually toxic to dogs, which just surprised me because the guy, he was a landscape business owner. He had a dog and he's got a yard full of plants that are toxic to animals. But he did also have an older dog, so it probably wasn't going, pouncing around in the garden. We have ripped out all of the plants that were toxic, that we know of that were toxic to her. Out of the 4 most toxic, we had 3 in our backyard. So we've ripped them all out, but I think there's still something out there that she's allergic to, and I'm hoping it's not the grass, because A, we can't afford to replace the grass, and B, the grass that we've got in the backyard I'm not allergic to, because I actually do have allergies to certain grass types, particularly the buffalo grass. I cannot walk on buffalo grass without getting incredibly itchy. So I'm really hoping it's not the grass that she's allergic to, because at the end of the day, she's on the grass more than me, and we have to accommodate to her if that's the problem. So I am going to close up the door in about 5 minutes time, and I'm going to go and meet hubby down at the vet's. Now today I did manage to get the hand cream that is on the bench, that is cooling. We got the facial gel serum made up, and I actually, because what I do with my stuff that's on, and it's so funny, what I do with the stuff on the shelves, there's 3 bottles left on the shelf, and I won't put that new batch out on the shelf until those 3 bottles have gone, because so many people reach to the back of the shelf to grab. We all do it. We go and buy our milk, and we go and grab the milk from the back of the shelf to make sure we get the longest shelf life. Doesn't always work though, especially with candles and soaps. You want the stuff at the front that is the oldest and has cured the most and is the best ones to have, rather than the fresher stuff. But what I do tend to do is I wait until I've got like 2 or 3 on the shelf, I make a fresh batch, pop it on the drawer, and once that lot on the shelf has gone, then I pull out that fresh batch. So if you're reaching to the back of my shelves to get fresher batches, you're still getting the same batch as the one that's on the front of the shelf, I'm afraid. But anyhow, I have done the facial gel serum. I then got stuck on the computer for a little bit. As I said, I'm working on a new website, and I got notification. I had actually gone looking because I couldn't remember how much it was to have the websites on Shopify, and I went looking, and somehow I managed to actually trigger a new store on there. And I got an email today to say that today was the last day of the free trial, and if I wanted to keep it, I needed to activate it, and I would get 3 months at $1 per month for the next 3 months, and then the year's membership from there. So I thought, just go and buy the domain name, go and get it started, so at least it's there, and that's going to give me that inclination to go and start working on it as well. I then got chatting to Lee, and I showed her the logo that I've created for this new business, and she doesn't like it. And she's got a point. She really does have a point. There was something on there I hadn't even realised, and now I have to actually go and look for a new font because it's going to bother me. So thanks, Lee. More work that I didn't need. But anyhow, but I should say, not anyhow, it is a good thing she pointed out, because it will eventually annoy me, and it will annoy other people as well. I'm not going to tell it until it's all launched, because I'm just trying to protect the name at the moment. Hopefully it will all be up and going in a couple of weeks' time, and we'll announce it then. But I have been doing that on the computer today, just getting all the very basics, getting the web address confirmed, getting the website half set up. I've now got to go in and set all the background stuff, which is like all the DNS codes and everything, so where I've got the domain name and the website actually talk to each other, so they can actually connect and we get a website. So I will be working on that over the next few days as well. But for now, as I said, I'm going to go and shut my door. It is really dark and grey out there. There's hardly any people out there, hardly any cars. So I don't think it's really going to hurt. And hopefully it is school zone time. But hopefully I'll get through all that traffic, and we'll be back in tomorrow. And I'll have a think about what I'm going to do tomorrow, because I don't want to be sitting at the computer all day tomorrow either.
Hello, I slept so much better last night. I don't know if it was because I was so tired and exhausted that I just slept through everything. Are you right there? Or if both hubby and Peppa behaved last night. Hubby did say he would try to not make so much noise last night. And like I said, and I've said it to him so many times, I will not wake him up when he is sleeping because he doesn't sleep very well. If I get one bad night of sleep every few months because he gets one good night of sleep every few months, so be it. That's just the way it is. But Peppa, I only heard her scratch once last night, and that was when I woke up between my 3 and 4 o'clock because I was having night sweats again. Stuck my foot out from underneath the cover and slowly cooled back down. But I didn't hear much licking and stuff from her. The results down at the vet, I won't say they were bad. We had good news and also news that basically we have to enact on. The vet down there, he is absolutely lovely, and he's seen her a couple of times with this same sort of issue. She's had rashes under her front arms. She had an ear infection. And he's seen her for those, and he's helped us clear them up. And that was how we discovered that there really was something in the yard that was causing her problems. And he showed us the charts of all the plants that were toxic to dogs. And when we got all that cleared out, all of that really settled down. But he seems to think that there is still something out there that she is reactive to. And he said it's quite possibly spores that are in the soil for things like fungus, like mushrooms, which wouldn't surprise me in the least. You fell over, you silly sausage. She's down here getting pats. And she's got this thing now where she likes to lean on me. So I wouldn't be surprised if there are mushroom spores up in our backyard. Where we pulled all these plants out, they were all tropical plants that thrive on wet soils. And you know what? Mushroom spores thrive in damp soils. So, and I've seen mushrooms popping up, and there's all sorts of mushrooms I've seen popping up and around the place up there. So we have to work a little bit more on that garden, don't we? We need to try and really dry that soil out, maybe put some fresh soil over the top. And then we'll put some things like mulch and stuff in there so she actually can't walk on that soil, and see if that helps. He then gave us some spray, which she doesn't like, to spray on her toes and in her ear, or just on the flaps of her ears. So not down the ears, just on the flaps of the ears. And then he thinks that the rest of it will start to clear up. He said, the good news was, he said, because of the degree of the rash and the colour of the feet, it's not a bad allergy. It's a really, really mild allergy. So we're not going to have to go down the whole route of going to see specialists, which will cost us thousands of dollars. He said this spray is actually really good. And for a dog that's got very, very mild allergies, it's going to be something we can use as a preventative as well. Typically the spray is used to clear they're not infections, but the reactions up. And then there have been studies done on dogs with those milder cases using it as, he said they were using it twice a week. And then the dogs that were using it twice a week in between flare-ups, their flare-ups were about 6 months apart from each other, whereas dogs that weren't giving it as a preventative measure in between the flare-ups, they were on average getting a flare-up every 1.5 months. So he said that, you know, we can play around with it a little bit. Maybe in the cooler months, we can give her one spray a week, and in summer, spring, when more of those spores and stuff are active, maybe twice a week, and we'll see how that goes. I did say to him that our previous dog, Lucy, she used to have lots of skin problems when we first got her for probably the first 3 years of her life. Constantly had her down the vets with patches of fur missing and all that sort of thing. And I said, and then one day she just suddenly snapped out of it and I didn't have a problem. And he said it could happen with her as well because she's so young. She could actually build those antibodies up in her body herself, so that she doesn't react to everything that's out in the yard. So hopefully that is going to work as well. But for now, we have a fight with her in the evening, I think, because it was a bit of a fight last night. Get the spray in between all the toe pads, just on the flaps of her ears. And then she gets a little chew after that, because she's not meant to lick the feet afterwards for 10 minutes. He said you should put a collar on them for 10 minutes. And I said, you know what, I'd much rather spray her feet and then give her something to chew on, because that's her favourite thing to do. And then she'll actually work out, if I get my feet sprayed, I'm going to get a treat. So he said that's a good idea. I told him what sort of treats we give her. I don't give her rawhide. I don't give her highly processed treats. They're usually all raw treats. And I said, I can give her one of those. It'll be good for her teeth. She'll be happy. And he said, yep, he liked that idea. So that's what we did last night. We'll have to do it again tonight and see. She really didn't like getting her feet sprayed. And it doesn't hurt. It actually doesn't sting, because part of it actually did go on my hand, and it doesn't sting or anything. So I don't think it was that. I think it was just that sensation of having something sprayed on her feet she didn't like. But good news is we can treat it. And he reckons it's fairly mild, so I'm happy with that. I'm going to sit on the computer for a little while this morning. Just want to try and fix up a little bit to do with this website. I need to get it registered. I've set it up as a .com.au website, and in order for us to get a .au website in Australia, we have to actually prove that we are entitled to one. Whereas if I just got a .com, it doesn't really matter. So I need to go and get that sorted out this morning. I want to do that before I go down to the shop, because it does involve putting a fair bit of private information in. Don't know what she's doing out there. So I don't want to do that on the work computer. So we're going to do that. While I can see it in the background here. So in last month's vlog, I'm just trying to make sure the sun doesn't bother us too much. But in last month's vlog, I spoke about this desk, and this was one of the things that had made it a little bit difficult to do any updates on the videos, because it wasn't very comfortable to sit at. And one of the problems is once you actually sit under this gap, that drawer is too low and it sits and squashes the legs. Now, I had so many people not only say how beautiful the desk is, because it is, it's a lovely desk, but I had so many people come up with the same solution that hubby gave to me, and I had actually considered myself, and this is why it will not work. And I've said it to every single comment that was left in that video about this desk. A lot of people said to me to actually put something underneath, like a little platform or something underneath, so that it raised the desk, and then I would be able to get under it. Now the problem is, here's the problem. So this chair is what I've been sitting on over there. I haven't altered the height. It is ergonomically the right height. Your shoulders sit at the right angle. They're not going to hurt while you're typing. If I was to raise this desk up so that my legs could fit under here comfortably, this is going to come up. So to kind of demonstrate that, the other alternative would be to drop my chair, right? But now my shoulders are actually sitting, probably harder to see, but I can feel it. The shoulders, rather than being curved down, are now actually pushed up. And that is not ergonomically good. So although I can now get my legs underneath the table, which would actually simulate bringing the desk up, I'm going to end up with shoulder aches and quite possibly even backache, because the desk is now ergonomically too high. The problem isn't the actual height of the desk. It's this drawer that's in the middle here that affects you being able to get underneath. And because of the way it's been built, this along here is all solid wood, so I can't even take this drawer out so that area is, you know, nice and open, which is an absolute shame. I'm not going to start taking things like saws to it to try and, you know, take that area out, because it's absolutely going to damage and destroy the desk. So thank you for all of those suggestions on how I could actually make the desk usable, but unfortunately it's just not going to work. So it's just going to have to be a really nice piece that sits there. Anyway, I think I have chatted for long enough. I am going to get to work on this. I did want to sit and sew a little bit more this morning, but this is actually, that sounds terrible. This is actually more important. But the sewing thing that I am working on is actually my mum's birthday present, and her birthday was 4 days ago when I'm filming. She is actually in Japan at the moment, and I did tell her I hadn't finished her present. She doesn't know what it is, but I did tell her I needed more time to finish it, and I'm just hoping I can get it done before she comes back from Japan. So I will work on the website this morning, and hopefully I'll do some more sewing tonight, but I really do have to get on with doing this. So before I do go and do this, I just wanted to share one more thing with Aussies who are starting up new businesses and are registering their business names. It can be really, really tricky, and there are some really dishonest businesses out there when it comes to registering your business name. If you actually just Google register business name Australia, the first search result that comes up is not where you want to go. You can see we've got all these sponsored ads at the top, and these are all businesses who will charge you an absolute fortune to register your business name. So if we look at this abnregister.com, $7.99 per month. So we're talking, let's bring up the calculator, $7.99 by 12, we're talking $95. Not a lot, like it's not a lot, but it is actually a lot when you see. So they want to charge you $8 a month to register your business name. I'm not even going to look at any of these others. What you actually want to do is come down to this Australian Securities and Investment Commission, ASIC. That is the company that you want to go into to register your business name. And I don't think it will show me what the fees are at this point. I don't think we can do pay now. No, it's not going to tell me. When I actually get to the amount of how much it's going to cost me to renew it, I'll definitely let you know. But make sure you are actually coming on to the Australian website to register your business name and not going on to one of these other businesses. And then when it does come time to renew your business name, what you will find is that all of a sudden your letterbox will be packed full of letters saying that your name is due for renewal. You know, go here and we'll renew it for you. And again, it will cost you an absolute fortune if you go through any of these letters that come through your mailbox. ASICs will send you a reminder when your renewal is due, and then you can come straight back onto their website and actually renew it as well. Do not fall for any of those letters that come through the mailbox. They are all, I won't call them scammers because they're not. They are legit businesses, but they are trying to rip you off. So I am going to create a new business name because I want that .com.au, and then I'll let you know how much it's going to cost me. I just have to work out again how I'm meant to do that. All right, I'm up to the part where I select how long I want to register the business name for. I am actually only going to go for a year just to see how this goes for, and then I'll do the 3-year option if this is successful. But just to give you an idea, so that last one, what did I say it was? It was, let's say 8 by 12, 95. It was just under $96 for the year. If you do it yourself through the ASIC website, through the ASIC Connect, it is $44 for a year. That is less than half of what these other companies are charging. And to do 3 years is $102. So make sure that if you are trying to register a business name, go into ASIC directly. That's the asic.gov.au website. Otherwise, you are going to get ripped off. So yeah, definitely do it yourself. So I'm going to go next and register this new business for a year, and I'll tell you what it all is once I've snagged all the important bits. All right, down at the shop, I am loving this new start time. I know I've said it several times now. It only actually took me 30 minutes to get in today. I got all the lights on red, just sailed through everything. Little bit of a build up at the main roundabout, but everything just sailed on through. So it only took me 30 minutes. So I was 10 minutes early. And I thought, you know what? It has been so long since I've actually treated myself to lunch outside of the shop. I usually have leftover dinners, or I've got a cup of soups and stuff stored out the back. I thought, you know what, it's been so long since I've actually treated myself to lunch. I've just popped up to the bakery and gone and grabbed myself some rice paper rolls for lunch. I haven't had them for so long, and I've still got a couple of minutes until I open the shop up. Gonna get the laptop all fired up. Just before I went to leave, I got a new order come through from Doris, who is one of my Pamper Club members. It's also her birthday this month, so if you are watching, happy birthday. That means that she'll get a Pamper Club birthday present. She got a bonus discount, and she'll get all the other bonuses for this month too. I will show you her order when I'm packing it. So let's get that all going. Put the purse away so that's not accessible to anyone. It's funny, this morning, hubby, I think he must have started at 8 o'clock. It may be 7:30 today. I don't know. They do change a little bit, so I just know he's always going to be home before me. That's fine. But he got up this morning, and he had his shower and everything, and then I pulled my backside out of bed, and I went and had my shower, and I indulged in the heat lamps for probably a little bit longer. So by the time I actually came out, he was just getting ready to leave, and he'd come down the hallway as I was coming out of the bathroom to say goodbye and to go. And so, yeah, bye-bye. And then I went round into the kitchen and found that sitting on the bench. I'm taking it. He wants me to fill it back up for him. He didn't say anything. This is one of my favourite perfumes in my men's range. I don't sell these online because I can't ship them. They're only available in store. But when I got this scent, which is the Entrapment, it's available in the beard balm and beard oil. I got this scent in. I said, here, wear this. So this is my favourite one. So I found that sitting on the bench. So I'm taking it. He wants me to refill it, so we'll do that today. I remembered to bring down, I found one of the new lip balm flavours. The other one must be out the back there because it wasn't at home. And I know I did order in 2 new flavours to try in the lip balm range. So I did remember to bring that down. I don't know if I'm going to make the lip balms today because I do want to keep trying to work on this website. Now that I'm working on it, kind of that energy is there to keep working on it. I got all the domain names set up. I've got it all linked together. So now Shopify talked to my domain name. I've got the name all registered as well. I've got to set up a new PayPal account for it. And then the one thing I've been really procrastinating about is how to set up the categories. The way it is on Patreon at the moment just absolutely annoys me, and I have put in a request because I was among some of the first people to be able to try the shop feature, and then you can leave feedback sort of thing. And one of the feedbacks I left was we needed to be able to divide it into categories so people don't have to search like I've got over about 2.5 pages worth of recipes in the shop now, but you have to go through all of them to find what you want. If you're just looking for a face cream, which might be on the second page, you have to scan them all. And I want to be able to categorize them. So, you know, moisturizers, soaps, bases, anything like that. Problem is I don't know how I want to categorize them because I don't want so many categories that there's only like 1 or 2 recipes in each of the categories. So I don't want to go
face, hands, feet, but I also don't want to just say moisturizer because there's a lot in there as well. So I need to kind of work out, maybe do hands and feet and body. We'll see how we go. It's something I've been procrastinating about. And hopefully today I'll stop procrastinating so much, get it decided and get the sort of the design of this website up and going. I've got to go and get my door open. And then once I've got the door open, I'll show you what I've got in this box. It won't be anything too exciting, but I know you guys like watching that sort of stuff. So I'm gonna go get myself all sorted, get that door open in case any customers want to come in. All right, so I've got the door open. I've got my little sale trolley out the front. Oh, I have to share this. I got another flyer to put up in the window. Oh, so annoying. I am actually, because I did mention it in the last video about, you know, people constantly asking to put flyers up in the window and stuff like that, and how when you're paying thousands of dollars for your shop window, you don't want to put other people's businesses into your window unless it actually benefits you. And I actually did end up, after that vlog, just after the car show, a guy came round from council with, he had two different flyers. One was for a local initiative, which I'm all behind. I've taken the flyers, I've put them up. I actually took 2 flyers, put them up in the shop, all for it. And it's an initiative run by our local Sunshine Coast Council. On the 28th of June, they do a buy local day, and they encourage all the locals throughout the Sunshine Coast to not go to the big supermarket stores, you know, the Stocklands, the Westfields and all of those. Not that we have a Westfield up here. Maybe Sunshine Plaza is, I don't know. But they're trying to encourage, instead of going to those big shopping centres where there's big international brands and, you know, multi-million-dollar brands, they actually encourage the locals to come out into the high streets, whether that's to go to the Mullaney or Montville streets, come into Caloundra, go to Mooloolaba, even down the main streets of Maroochydore, and actually go and support the local businesses. Go and buy from the small local businesses who are trying to make money to keep their families going and not then shipping that money overseas. So I'm all behind that as an initiative. I've seen other advertising for it as well. So I did take 2 of the flyers. He tried to give me another one for this Winter Wonderland, which is happening this Friday. I know I won't get any business for it. I'm not even going to bother opening for it. Too cold. And it was one of those great big flyers. So I said, I'm not taking that one. The flyer is too big. You want me to put that up in my window. I want paying to put the advertising in there. I think that is fair. You know, you want me to advertise, you pay me to advertise your going on. I said, that flyer is just way too big. It covers up my window. People can't see in. And if I stuck everybody's flyer up in my window, no one would see inside my shop. And he said, no, that's fair enough. He said, if it was a smaller flyer, would you put it up? And I said, I would consider it if it was a small flyer. I said, but I'm not sticking those great big things up in my window, especially when it doesn't benefit me. And he said, no, I'm definitely going to pass that on. And he was from council. He is part of that sort of printing processes and stuff. And anyway, another lady came around this week and she had big flyers and little flyers. And she was, again, us promoting, she wanted me to put it up. And it's like, oh, another flyer? And she said it actually does coincide with the other buy local. So she's got this one, and this one's actually advertising a competition. So for every $30 or spend $30 or more in one of the local small shops, so not the big internationally owned ones, so not the Subways and the Katie's and the Millers and all of those, not that they really exist much now, but you know, those really big Jeans West, Kmart and those. If you spend it at a small local business, you can upload the receipt to their website and go into the draw to win a $1,000 Caloundra shopping spree. Or there's also some picnic experiences as well. And I think, well, that's really good because that's going to really promote people to actually now come in if they've got a chance of winning something. So she said, which flyer would you prefer? And I said, oh, you've got small flyers. And she said, yeah, we've taken some feedback on board and we're now offering big and small flyers. And it's like, thank you. I said, I will take one of the small flyers and I will put it up. So got to get that up on the, I think I'm actually going to put it on the counter rather than on the window. Anyhow, there's my little high horse for the day. But you know, it does help to actually tell people, as long as it's constructive criticism and it's not just downright rude to people. Like, to me, saying a constructive criticism is saying, please don't make the posters that big, make them smaller so that you're not blocking the view of my product. That is constructive to them to say, oh, well, maybe if we do, we'll have more support. Anyhow, let's get off that topic. This box, this has come in from off of Aussie soap supplies. I don't actually order from them very often, maybe once or twice a year, but they do have a couple of ingredients that I cannot get anywhere else. The first one is my preservative. They are the only company, well, actually I don't think they're now the only company. I think there is another supplier. In fact, there is another supplier that sells the Nipper Guard preservative, but they are so much more than what Aussie soap supplies are, because they're a little business buying in bulk from the other ones and dividing it up. So that's the preservative, so we can keep making our creams and other water-based products. My lip sweetener for my lip balms, I definitely needed some more of that because I've only got a little bit left. I have got someone who keeps asking me about my lip balm sweetener. I don't buy it from the US. I buy it from Aussie soap supplies who do not ship overseas. So I really can't help you with where to buy lip balm sweetener overseas, I'm afraid. But we've got some of that. What else is in here apart from lots of packing peanuts? What was this one? Oh, that's right. Let's just make a mess. Ready? My Mediterranean chocolate clay. The chocolate mask has been very well received that I made the video on last week. Quite a number of people have been ordering it, and it feels divine. And I do actually use this in soap as well. I've had a couple of comments on that video. It's Mediterranean chocolate clay. The chocolate, I think, just refers to the colour of the clay. It looks like chocolate, possibly because of the antioxidant properties that it has, like chocolate, is in this clay. I've had a few people saying that they can't find Mediterranean chocolate clay. I don't know. It must come from the Mediterranean. I have seen it online called chocolate clay or chocolate brown clay. I have seen people on Etsy, if you're overseas, who have got a crafter's choice version of it. But I have seen it around. So I got a big bag of chocolate clay. Oh, that's tiny. Oh, I was expecting that to be, oh look, there's a sample in there as well. Melon Buffet fragrance oil. Really can't do much with that sort of size sample other than smell it, but thank you anyway. Normally those ones I end up sticking in another fragrance oil and calling it a unique blend or a special blend. I think that is it. This is much smaller than I thought it was going to be. This is a book that I have grabbed from off the website. You've often heard me talk about our water system, spoke about it this morning, that it is a wastewater management system. So it's basically like what the government uses to clean everybody's sewage water, except for it's on a smaller scale. It's not a septic tank. It is different to a septic tank, but works very similar to a septic tank, where it takes all of our wastewater from out of the house, pops it through the tank, cleans it up, and then puts it out in the garden as grey water. So we, constantly watering our garden with it. It's a really, really, really good concept, and it has made me think twice about a lot of things that we do in the house. But the biggest problem with it is you have to be careful what goes down the drains. It has been quite good though, because one of the things you can't do is put a lot of oils and fats down the drains, which you shouldn't do anyway. And in the past, when I've had a lot of oil, I generally pour it into a jar and pop it into the bin. But most of us still put it down the drain. Let's be honest here. Since moving into this house, and I know that we can't put fats and oils down this drain without actually messing up the entire system, I've gone back to not just throwing it out, but actually pouring it into like a little ramekin that then sits next to the stovetop. And when I need oil for, you know, frying some stir fry veg or something, I just pour a little bit of that residual oil in. So I'm talking when we cook a roast pork and you get all that residual fat, I'm then using that fat to do extra cooking in. So going back to the way my grandmother used to cook, and it really does make a big difference to the taste of food when you're using that sort of fat rather than going out and buying the vegetable oils and stuff to cook in. So it has been a good thing. But one of the biggest problems I have faced is cleaning in the house. So unlike a septic tank where you just can't put anything antibacterial, bleach, chlorine, that sort of stuff down the drains, we can put little amounts of antibacterial sprays, but not a lot. But we don't know what a little is and what a lot is. So we're really, really careful about what we are using. And I know there are so many different cleaning things out there that you can use, but it's really hard to find stuff that works and is cleaning and is just all in one place. So while I was having a look on Aussie Soap Supplies, I came across this book here, The Naturally Clean Home, with 150 recipes in it. See, I can't use that one already. This one's got distilled, it's a citrus oxy treatment. So this must be for the washing machine to get stains out. It's got distilled water, hydrogen peroxide, washing soda, and essential oil. I don't think I can use hydrogen peroxide. I think that will kill the bacteria in the system, but that's okay. We can actually use napisan in our system, so that's okay. But there are other things. I don't do a lot with the laundry because I'm so sensitive to stuff through it, but let's have a look for something else in here. Oh, see, you've got like scouring powder. You can use baking soda, washing soda, cream of tartar, and a bit of sweet orange essential oil. Hopefully there's going to be some really good recipes in here that I can actually then use to help clean things like the stainless steel sinks and oh look, there's a microwave cleaner. Someone was talking to me about cleaning their microwave the other day, bought some gadget from Kmart, and I said I just use the lemon trick. This one to clean your microwave is 1/4 cup of baking soda, a teaspoon of vinegar, and some thyme, lemongrass, or lemon essential oil. Make a paste and then wipe it over the microwave. So, you know, nice, easy way of cleaning the microwave. So hopefully I'll be able to find a few little tips in here, a few little things that will help me be able to clean our house without destroying the system. Yeah, we'll have a look at that. That needs to go back home with me. Oh look, drop peanuts. Drop peanuts on the floor. I have to go and get rid of this down in the recycle area this afternoon when I go home. What I am going to get on now with, because we've been yakking for a while, I have got a hand cream. I'm going to get this one all potted up. I have actually made enough so I can make samples as well, but I really, really don't like the new sample pouches I've got, so I'll make up what I need, and there should be about, I think, 200 grams of spare hand cream, so I'll pop that into a container, and when my proper sample pouches come in, I will package the samples up later. So we'll do that. I have to go and pick Doris's order and go and get that all wrapped and ready to go to the post office this afternoon, put this lot away and see where the day takes me. I think that is all I'm going to do for today business-wise, and then I'm going to sit and try and do a bit more of this website, because now that, oh no, we've got to do this too. Now that I'm enthused to do the website, I don't want to stop while I'm on a roll, so I'm going to get on with this day. Oh, that is very sweet. I wouldn't have said melon buffet. You can get the melon, but it smells a bit detergent-y to me. Yeah, very, very sweet. Thanks anyway. It is Friday afternoon. In fact, it is about 2:30. So I have been in the shop for most of the day, but I haven't done a lot of filming, and that's because I've pretty much sat at the computer doing all these things that I have been meaning to do for ages and have been procrastinating about it. I keep trying to kick myself in the butt and telling myself, you know, to get my act together and start doing stuff. And then I go to do things and I just kind of hit brick walls when I sit down to do the tasks that I'm normally meant to do. And this morning I actually gave myself a bit of a kick up the bum and told myself to actually start doing what I need to be doing, because one thing I have learned about business is that if you're not enthusiastic, it shows through in your level of work, which then reflects in sales. So to give you an example, when you do markets, if you rock up to your market in a bad mood, I can pretty much guarantee you're going to have a really bad market day, because that mood flows through the sort of atmosphere, whether you believe in, as my husband calls it, oogity boogity stuff or not. At the end of the day, our own feelings and attitudes do come across to other people. So, you know, I've just thought, you know, I've been feeling so down, so out. This is going to start reflecting in the way that my shop is feeling. So snap out of it and force yourself to do some of the stuff that I've been meaning to do for ages. So basically I came into the shop, I knew exactly what I needed to do, which was all computer work. I put my phone on silent and then I opened up the door and then just got to doing the stuff that I actually needed to do. And I'm feeling so good now because I've got them done. A couple of the tasks, they needed to be done but weren't detrimental if they didn't get done. But then there were a couple of other things I needed to get done. I wanted to get a few things printed, and these are to send out to people when they're ready for them to be sent out. And I thought, you know, the longer I keep putting this off, the longer I'm, you know, not sitting down to do the design work. One minute though, you know, I'm not needing it, and the next, someone's going to do what I need them to do to trigger me sending this off, and I won't have it ready. I'm not going to give much more information than that because it's a little bit of a surprise for a few people. So I basically sat down and got my butt into gear. I've got all of that done. You know, I haven't made any soaps lately because I haven't wanted to sit down and first of all decide which fragrances to use, and then I have all my boxes pre-done up, and then I've been using DTF printing to stick the name of the fragrance onto the box because it just looks really nice. But I haven't been bothered to get all that printing work done up, so I haven't been making any soaps. So again, I thought, well, decide what soaps that you want to make. There's plenty of fragrances out there. Go through them all, decide which ones you want to make, get the names of them, sort some names out. It doesn't matter what colors or anything like that, just think of some names, send off the printing, and once the printing's in, I should then be enthused to go and make the soaps. And it's not that I've lost the passion for doing it, I just seem to hit brick walls. Like I'll fill that oil tank up and then I'll be exhausted. So it's kind of, I'm trying to find that balance again of being able to do the right amount of work. And I kind of figured, well, if I do the little tedious bits that I've been putting off and then, you know, putting off the bigger bits, so if I do the little tedious bits, I then actually might be inspired to do the more fun bits, like making the soap. So I have sent all of that off today. A few other bits and pieces of design work I needed to do have all been sent off as well. I have just finished catching up with all the messages that were sent through to me while I had my phone off. And I can tell you, it does wonders to turn your phone off for a certain amount of time during the day. Don't be frightened that you're missing messages, emails and stuff like that, because at the end of the day, you can always go back to them a little bit later. If you keep stopping every time a message pings on your phone or an email comes through and you stop what you're doing, you go and do that message, then you go back and then you go back, you end up spending more time trying to multitask. There's certain things you can multitask and it saves you time. And then there's other things you try multitasking and it actually takes you a lot longer to complete those tasks. So I often find if there's things that I really need to do, turning off my phone so there's no distractions, I get those other tasks done a lot quicker, and then I can go back to my phone and answer all the messages that come in. And do you know what? To this date, the world has not stopped because I've done that. Believe it or not. I say that because I find it so frustrating when I see people, you know, important people in my life, and they come to see me and then their phone pings and then they pick their phone up. It's like, I'm right here. Like, you don't need to know that there's a sale going on at your favorite clothing shop right now. Talk to me. So I've got this real bugbear thing with phones and how distracting they are. And I just make it a habit in my life to separate myself away from this for a good part of my day. It goes on to silent every night from 8 o'clock. It pings at me from 8 o'clock at night through till 7 o'clock in the morning. My phone will not send me any notifications during that time, and it's bliss not to be concerned about what's going on outside of mine and hubby's little world sometimes. But anyhow, it is a really good business practice to get into as well, to step away from your phone for a bit, and you'll find you can actually reinvigorate yourself. Anyhow, let's get off of that. What I'm doing right now is I've still got all these little soaps left from Halloween, and I've actually got quite a few of them. I've got about 35. In fact, I do have 35 soaps. Some of them are actually little cars and ladybugs and stuff. I've been trying to sell these off as little kids soaps. The kids soaps sold really well when I was down in Cleveland. I had lots of kids coming in and buying them, but since moving up here, I don't really have that same kid base to come in and buy the soaps. In fact, very, very rarely do I have young children in the shop anymore. So these soaps have just been sitting here, and it is time to clear them out. Now I'm doing an end of financial year sale on Monday. So I am at Monday for the week. So I'm just going through, finding out all these things that are sitting on my shelf that aren't moving and selling, bundling them up at great prices just to clear them out. And I've worked out I can do 7 packs of 5 soaps. They each will have 4 Halloween soaps in, and then a random car, rocket, something else like that. But what I have actually noticed, and this is one reason why I do wrap all of my soaps up, because there's so much building work up here on the Sunshine Coast. Everything gets dusty, and I've just realized all these little packs of soap are super, super dusty. So I've just taken all the shrink wrap off them. I'm going to put fresh shrink wrap onto them, bundle them up into little bags, and then get some photos, and I'm going to pop them onto the website. So that's what I'm going to do for the next sort of hour and a half. And I've got a couple of other things about the shop. I still have a couple of candles left from Christmas and Halloween, so I'm going to get them back on the website as part of this end of financial year sale, heavily discount them, and hopefully clear out all of my old stock. And when I say heavily discounted, they are going to be heavily discounted. So if you are in Australia and you're interested, Monday will be when my end of financial year sale launches, and it will go for the entire last week of June. Let me get these soaps all wrapped up in fresh shrink wrap. today. I'm hoping it's going to be a really, really nice day. It did rain overnight and it's a little bit grey and overcast, but the sun is really trying to shine through. So it's actually quite bright and sunny out there, but it does still have that sort of rainy mist about it. I am in the shop early. I've got about 15 minutes. I had to stop off at the shops this morning. We've got Peppa booked into a behavioural workshop for the next 6 weeks as of Monday. She is a really, really good girl. She's incredibly smart, so it has been easy to train her with the basics of, you know, sit, paw, drop, and all those sort of things. But she can get a little bit hyperactive, and when she gets hyperactive, all thought just goes out of her head, and she can sometimes become quite stubborn as well. If she doesn't want to do something, she's not going to do it. And sometimes you try and get her to come and do something for a reward. She comes and gets that reward. She waits, 30 seconds. It's like, see ya, I'm going to go finish doing whatever I was doing. The other day, she was barking at the neighbour's cat. It keeps sitting on the other side of the fence and she keeps barking at it. And I'd managed to get hold of her. She was out in an area where she normally isn't. I managed to get hold of her collar to bring her back down from where she was and pop her in her normal backyard bit. And as I grabbed the collar, she took off, and I'm facing this way, she's pointing that way, and as I've grabbed her collar, she's taken off. And I was actually standing on like little steps, and I've almost gone flying down these steps. You know that feeling you get when you know you're going to fall and it's going to hurt and you are going to cause damage? I had that feeling, and because of how she twisted in my hand, that I couldn't actually release her collar easily, and I've almost gone flying down these steps. I was so frightened I was going to hurt myself badly, and I told hubby about what had happened. He said, that's it, we're booking her in for these classes because we need to get her to actually be more responsive to us, even though she responds in good, like in non-reactive sort of situations. When she's being reactive, like barking at the neighbour's cat, she forgets to listen to the commands. And he said, that's it. Because if I'd fallen down, I would have had to wait for him to come home because I didn't have my phone with me or anything. So he said, that's it, we're booking her in. So we've got her booked in for this behavioural thing. And I think it's going to be really good because I'm going to teach her, one of the things I'm most frightened of is going out, if she slips out of her lead, getting her to come back. And that's going to be the sort of thing that we're going to get her trained on. And he's very much so that your dogs shouldn't play with other dogs, and I understand what he's saying. You don't know other people's dogs, whether they're friendly or not. You know, and the amount of people that used to let their dogs come up to Lucy, and Lucy, she wasn't, I don't think she ever would have hurt another dog, but because she was so frightened of everything, she barked at them, and then people had to go at me for her reactions. So I kind of understand what he was saying there, and he said, you also don't know if other people have had their dogs fully vaccinated and all that sort of stuff. So he's very much against allowing your dogs to play with other dogs that you don't know. So I don't think she's going to actually get to play with any of the other dogs that are at this big training thing, which is going to be a positive as well, because she needs to learn that just because she sees another four-legged creature, just across from her, she can't pull and go and say hello like she currently does. And also whenever she sees any other two-legged creature, she has to go and say, everyone has to say hello to her. She's just that sort of dog. She is so friendly, wants to talk to everyone, and he's going to kind of teach us how to get her to, you can only go and see them when we say it's okay that you can go and see them. So it should be good. But anyhow, I had to stop at the shops to go and get training treats. So that's one of the things. And he said we need high reward treats. So I decided to go and see, they're all down in the car. I didn't bring them in. I decided to go and see what I could get her that is different to what we have at home. So while we've got her out there, she's going to pay attention. We can bring those treats back home as well. So I stopped off at Coles because they actually, our local Coles has one of those pick and mix style things where you can go and pick different bits and pieces. So I've got her some yogurt drops and some carob peanut drops. I got her some
peanut butter things and some other little bits of treats just to mix. And he said the best way in this video is to mix the treats up. So don't just continuously give them the same one. Make it a potluck that you pull out so they never know what they're going to get. And some treats need to be higher reward than others. So I've kind of got things that I know she absolutely loves and other things that I know she likes, and then we can do that sort of pot mix thing. Probably should be telling everything we're paying to learn, but anyhow, this was all just like in the beginner videos that before you go and do the first class. But while I was in Coles, I've been wanting some, you know, I've shown my little bathtub that's in the front of the shop window, and I've been wanting some little duckies to go in there, but boy, little rubber duckies can be expensive. And while I was in there, I was picking up some coffee stuff for hubby, and I was in the promotional aisle. They had little duckies in their promotional aisle. They were meant to be $3 each, and they were reduced down to $1.50, and I couldn't decide which design, so I got both of them. They're just so cute. It's, you know, it's the small things that make you smile. So I am hoping that these small things will make other people smile when they walk by. I'm going to go and put them with the little bathtub. I'm going to then get myself all sorted out here. I'm going to put, I often have like little snacky things, you know, those days when we don't have enough leftovers to bring lunch in, or if I'm not particularly hungry for my lunch, I can have something like a cup of soup. I'm going to go and put all that away. I've got a couple of things I need to take photographs of today to go onto the website for the end of financial year sale that I'm putting up on Monday. So I'm going to be doing that. I don't have to make anything. Being Saturday and I'm not in tomorrow, I'm not going to make anything that needs to be packaged up the next day. I don't like leaving things like that sitting on my bench. So it's really not going to be, again, a terribly interesting day. I'll get those photos done. I might have a look at how much soap dough I've got down there. Now that I've thought about what soaps I want to make, I'm a bit more inspired to have a look at making the embeds. So even if I can just sit down and make a few embeds or something, I don't know, we'll see how the day actually pans out. I do still need to keep working on this website as well. So yeah, it's not going to be the most interesting of days, but we'll find stuff to do. Let's go and get my jacket put away first. Go and get my soups put away in my purse. I don't know why I left my purse out. And then get this day started. Just as I was setting up the computer then, I remembered last night I actually took the price sign off this and stuck it on the computer, so I'd remember to do it today. This basket, which is on the end of the counter here, is a filler bag with soap ends. There's all different bits from off ends of various soaps, and people can come along and they can fill one of these bags up with all these soap ends and they can pick whatever they want. But over the last maybe 4 to 6 weeks, I've had people coming up to me going, how much for those two? I just want 2 pieces. It's like, it's fill a bag. Like, it's up to you how many you put in that bag. But I'm not selling them as individual bits, because basically I'm almost ready to refill this basket again and pop some more on the website. So I really want to kind of get rid of them. So I'm not going to sell 1 or 2. But because this has been a constant thing, and I got another request last night of someone just wanting 2 pieces, 1 for him, 1 for her, I have decided that I am going to do it. So you can either fill a bag for a really great price, or you can have 5 pieces for $2. That's only 4 in there, but you can have 5 pieces, I think it will be, for $2. So even if you only want 1 or 2 pieces, tough. It's 5 pieces for $2, because I really just don't want to start individually pricing them all, because someone, if I say it's 50 cents a piece, someone might come up with that for 50 cents, or someone else might just want this piece, and I can't really charge the same for that as I do for that. I mean, it is up to people at the end of the day, or I can't say 50 cents for that. So basically it will just be 5 for $2 or fill a bag. So I'm going to make up a new sign today, and hopefully people will like that idea instead. So
yeah, let's get this door open because my heater's got a bit hot in here now.
What a morning it has been. It is actually Monday morning. I had Sunday off, so that was yesterday, and I spent a good part of my day doing this new website. There's so much that needs to be done, and a lot of it's putting in coding to different places and doing all the boring stuff, but I have finally got all the boring legal side of things done. So now it's moving on to doing all the pretty side of the website, you know, getting it to look how I want it, and then getting all my recipes and things done up to go on there. And as I said, I'm still procrastinating about how to load the recipes on there. And I think I'm kind of coming to the conclusion, there's two ways of loading them. I can either do them by body part, so face, hands, feet, that sort of thing, or I could do them by the type of formula, so moisturizer, sprays, that sort of thing. And I really can't decide which way to do it. So I think in my head, what I'm going to do is just do it both ways, so people can have a look for recipes based on how they want to have a look for them, and just try and keep it nice and tidy on the website as well, and then people can view it however they actually want to view it. So I've now got to start. Actually, I don't have to retype any of the recipes, but I do have to go in them. Up until now, every time I share a recipe on Patreon, it's got the watermark for the Soy and Shea logo, it's got the Soy and Shea logo on it, and it's got a little footer disclaimer on them all as well, that says Soy and Shea. And what I want to do is change all that reference to my new business name, so that it's away from Soy and Shea. Even though they're recipes that I have tested and used, I don't want it associated with that business. I want them to be a little bit separate. So now I have to go through and update that sort of information before I can load the recipes onto the website. So that's going to take me a little bit of time. And plus I don't want to put all my recipes onto the website in one go, because then that means I won't be able to do any other updates for a little while. So I'll load as many as I can between now and the end of the week, so that I can actually try and launch it for the 1st of July. And I will do a separate video explaining all of that. So I spent most of my day working on that yesterday. I so desperately wanted to do some more sewing. I'm making good headway on it, and I really wanted to do some sewing, and I just didn't even get a chance to do it. So today I've decided, from lunchtime today, I'm not doing anything else other than doing my sewing. But it has been a really busy morning. I got up nice and early and I went and picked up my printing, and it's a good job that I did, because somebody placed an order yesterday which triggered what I'm going to need from this printing. So I've actually got to get on with doing that. And that's exactly what I said in my earlier days, that I knew that if I kept putting it off and putting it off, I was going to need it and wouldn't have it, which would delay sending someone's order out. So I'm so glad it all came through today. I'm going to get those done. This is actually something for my Pamper Club members, which is going to be exclusive to them. And it will be exclusive to people doing a third year of renewing their subscription. Now, Tara, I know that you have just renewed your subscription and placed an order. On your next order, I will make sure I will send one of these to you as well. Don't worry, you did receive your little pamper pack for renewing. And then I came up with this other idea of what to send to you, those of you doing your 3rd year. So Tara, I will send you one of these when you do your next order as well. So don't worry about that. And I also got the DTF printing for my soap. So I'm going to be working on that next week. So we've got those. So that involved going out early this morning. And what else have we done? I have debated about whether to really talk about this here or not. And after my experience this morning, I really do think it is really important that I do actually talk about it. Because number one, I'm actually fed up of hearing from people who have no idea about what's really been going on during the whole
sympathy vote for this particular person when they don't really know everything that's been going on in the background. And this morning I decided, yeah, I'm definitely going to talk about it, because I was forced to do something that I really didn't want to have to do. Really didn't want to have to do. And I actually want to explain the whole lot, because I know I'm not the only person in this situation. I know there are a lot of people out there that are in this situation, and you need to know what is going on and what you can actually do. And this all goes back to the Soaping and Candle conference. And there's a lot of stuff. Like, I don't want this to be defamation or anything like this, but I do feel, so I'm looking for a pair of scissors. I do feel people really need to know what's been going on in the background and why some of us are actually getting really cross and angry now. So back last year, when the official dates were released for the conference, it was meant to be the 17th and 18th of May. Now, I was going to cut this, but I think if I'm talking to you and cutting this, I'm going to stuff up somewhere. So I think I actually might go and sit down and talk to you a little bit about the whole thing. And then hopefully my brain will be clear and cohesive and it will all make sense. All right, so let's talk about my experience with the candle soaping conference thing. So last year it was announced that as I said, the dates were announced as being the 17th to the 18th of May. And I thought, I would like to go. I'll see who else is going and make a decision. I got to talking to a couple of people about who was going and stuff. And I put off buying the ticket because it was going to be expensive. A 2-day conference. It was initially listed at $480 for a 2-day conference. And I thought, I just don't really know if I've got the money right now. I knew we were looking at moving, all this sort of stuff. And then an email was sent out in June of last year for the end of financial year sale, saying that this was going to be the cheapest the tickets were ever going to be. They were never going to be reduced to this price again. So this was your last chance to get discounted tickets, and there's 20% off. So it brought these ticket prices down to $384 for a 2-day conference. Now, I had been talking to a few other people, asking them if they were going to go to the conference, and they said yes, they were booking their tickets right now. So I booked my ticket and paid for a 2-day conference, $384. Now, not much more was really said for the rest of that year, not like there had been in previous conferences, but slowly the speakers were all revealed. I will say that I wasn't particularly excited or inspired by the speaker choice. Ellie from Ellie's Everyday was about the only one that I thought was going to be of any benefit to me. There was going to be Aussie Insurance, who I was actually looking forward to meeting them because they've been following me and things like that. But I know that Aussie won't cover me as an insurance company. So I knew I wasn't going to get anything from them. They won't cover me because I'm bricks and mortar, and they don't do bricks and mortar businesses. Well, the last time I spoke to them, they don't. So I wasn't particularly excited about that one. And then there were a couple of other speakers. I thought, you know what, they're not really going to part any knowledge with people. It's going to be, this is what I do, hand over your money, and then I'll give you some more information. So I wasn't particularly excited about the speakers, but I figured, you know what, there's going to be all these people there that I'm going to be really looking forward to going to see. So, let's look at that as a positive. Anyway, not much more was really said for the rest of 2024. And then one day I was flicking through on Instagram. It was earlier this year. I was flicking through on Instagram thinking there really hasn't been much said about the conference. None of the usual, I'm packing the bags in how, like the in-person people get and that sort of stuff. But then I did stumble across a video, and I actually had the volume on, and I heard Rhonda going,
It was never a 2-day conference. I don't know why people thought it was a 2-day conference. It's only ever been a 1-day conference. And okay. And I'm thinking, maybe she just means that the conference itself is set up so that there's one day that you would call a conference where people come in and speak, you sit and listen and do your thing. And then the second day is a dinner, and there's actually no formal conference style material. There's a couple of guest speakers through dinners sometimes, but it's not really conference. And I thought, well, maybe that's what she means, that, you know, it was never 2 days of talking, it was just one. So I kind of really didn't pay much attention. I was busy, forgot about it. And then I saw something else saying, again, it was never a 2-day conference. It's only ever been a 1-day conference on the 17th of May. And it's like, no, I'm sure I paid for a 2-day conference, and I've not had any notification to say the dates have changed. So I went and found my original payment, and there's really not much on there about how many days you've paid for it. It really was just, this is the conference, this is the amount you've paid. And I'm thinking, I'm sure I've paid for a 2-day. I'm positive it was a 2-day conference. So then I was speaking to a couple of other people, and they said, yeah, it was a 2-day conference we paid for. And I said, yeah, wasn't it, you know, conference on one day, dinner the next? I said, I vaguely remember giving my meal requirements for the dinner. And then I said to hubby, I said, with the conference, am I going nuts, or did I actually say to you I would have to organise to go and stay with my parents for the weekend of the conference, so it was easier to get to South Bank from my parents' place than it is from where we live? And he said, yeah. And I said, so it was definitely 2 days? And he said, yeah, you were going for a 2-day conference. Right. So I actually then shot Rhonda an email saying, look, I'm really confused. I said in there that I'm positive I paid for 2 days, conference on one day, dinner on the next. I remember giving my meal requirements, and now I'm finding out that it's only 1 day and people are paying $209 less than what I paid for my tickets. And I was a bit, I don't understand this. About 5 or 10 minutes after sending this email, she suddenly popped up onto YouTube with a live video, and she was talking about the dates. And she said in there, again, on this video publicly, that it was only ever meant to be a 1-day conference and that the website Americanized the dates. And I'm thinking, that's not true, because in my mind, Americanizing the dates, instead of saying 17/5/25, it would go 5/17/25. Generally, the American dates are written with a month first, then the day, then the year. And I'm thinking, yeah, that's not right, because it's actually being written 17th to 18th May. Like, this is physically written. And I'm thinking, no. So I've actually gone and quickly scanned all the social medias, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and all the earlier posts that included the dates for this conference were gone. Everything was gone. The initial announcement on YouTube for the 2025 dates, that was gone. All of the posts from 2024 that mentioned dates were gone, except one. I found one post where it was actually still written in the post 17th to 18th May. So I got back onto this live video and said on there, you might like to know that there is still one Instagram post that has those initial dates typed into it, like, caught ya sort of thing. She did respond to, I can't remember what she responded about it, about the dates. But then I did get a response to my email. And in the email, it said that she did have to change the dates because she was unwell. And I thought, well, now I feel really deceived. I feel like I have been lied to, that I have been deceived, and that she thinks I am stupid enough to not cotton on that I've paid for a 2-day event, and she was just going to keep quiet. And I thought, well, if you are sick, why not just say that? Why not have sent out an email saying, Due to how sick I have been, I have made the decision to cut it down to a 1 day because I don't think I'll have the energy to do 2 days. You know, people would have understood, but there had been no emails to change these dates. It was almost like she was just thinking that we had all forgotten and that we were just being stupid. It was said that those who had paid for a 2-day conference because of a fault in the website would receive a slight refund. It was never committed how much was going to be refunded, to what value. Was it going to be down to that $175 that everyone else was paying because we were meant to have bought our tickets at the cheapest price available? Or was it only going to be a refund to, you know, what the full price of these tickets were as a single day? It was never said, and we were told we'd get the refund when at the conference. Now, that was actually her first illegal move. If you change events like that, you are meant to refund the money immediately, and you are to refund it in the manner in which it was paid. So I don't know how she was going to pay us back on the day of the event. Like, was she going to put it back into my PayPal account because that's how I paid? Or was she going to give me cash? Or what was she going to do? It was never ever told how much I'd be refunded or how that refund would be done. Sorry, need a drink. This is a long rant. So because of the perimenopause I've been going through and everything, I couldn't deal with it. I couldn't really deal with the whole thing. I didn't want to know about it. I just thought, we'll just get to the conference. We'll see what happens and I'll make my move then. Give her the benefit of the doubt. We then had that big weather event here in Queensland where we had I hate to call it a cyclone. It really did cross the coast as a tropical low. It did cause a bit of damage. Some areas out west were flooded. A few coastal homes were also affected. But in general, Brisbane wasn't affected to the point that the conference had to be cancelled. But we all got an email saying that the dates were going to have to be moved or cancelled. She didn't know what she was going to do. And that she'd make a decision. It's like, why? And in this email, she said more than 50% of the people said that they were no longer able to attend due to flooding. I'm thinking, well, how can 50% of the attendees not be attending because they've been flooded? Like, it wasn't like the entirety of Brisbane had been flooded. Yes, there were some outback towns that had been flooded, but I don't think 50% of the attendees for this conference came from outback towns. It didn't make sense. And we were still 10 weeks out from the conference. And I sent her a message saying, look, we're 10 weeks out. The flooding will go down in a couple of weeks. People will have recovered by the time the conference is on. And if they can't make it, they should be attending online. Like, to me, that just makes sense. And I think a few other people came up with that sort of thing as well. And then we got a message saying, okay, well, the conference was going to go ahead and anyone who couldn't attend in person would get online tickets. I thought, well, that's the way it should be. But then things just seemed to, I don't know, they weren't gelling right. Things just didn't seem progressing like they normally are. I had also actually called Ridges. I think it was in March I called Ridges. I actually worked for Ridges for 7 or 8 years. I started off working for them when we lived up in Cairns, and I worked at Ridges South Bank as well. So I know a little bit about how the conference department works. And I actually called them up, and I believe it was in March because it was before the big weather event. And I wanted to confirm because I'd heard rumours through the mill that the conference wasn't going ahead. So I actually called the Ridges conference department and asked them to confirm if the conference was booked in and was it going ahead. And they confirmed that they were holding a booking, but they were yet to receive full confirmation that it was going ahead. And I'm just thinking, it is still a few weeks out. Maybe she's just gathering final numbers. I don't know. So I didn't say much more, but I thought, well, at least it's booked in. We'll see what happens. But then all this stuff started kicking up about cancelling the dates and stuff. And it's like, this isn't going to go ahead. This conference is not going to go ahead. And I have just been, for want of a better word, scammed. And I didn't want to use that word because this is the 4th conference that has been run and there's been no other problems with the previous 3 conferences. And it was just like, I don't want to think we've been scammed, but that's how I was feeling. Anyway, on the 23rd of April, it was finally put out there. And the crazy thing was, my mind's going all over the place now. Only a couple of days before this, Rhonda had actually announced that she just booked her tickets to Brisbane. I don't believe that for 1 minute. Because on the 23rd of April, she sent out an email saying that due to more than 50% of the attendees cancelling, basically they were cancelling the conference. It's like, okay. And in this email, it said that all refunds would be done within 60 days. Now, a lot of people did question on different groups, why 60 days? And here's me defending her, saying, you know, maybe she has to wait for the money to be refunded back from Ridges for cancelling the event. She would have got some of that back, or should have got some of it back from my experience there. Plus, you can't refund, small businesses cannot do thousands of dollars of refunds in a very short amount of time, because if you try and get too many refunds from through PayPal, it actually does say you can only do so many per day to a certain value per day. And this is all coming down to things like money laundering. It's the same with your bank accounts. You can only do so many refunds before you're actually looked into as a small business. So here's me defending her, saying, you know, it's pretty much common business practice, 60 days. It is to do with how much can be refunded, when it can be refunded and stuff like that. And in my heart of hearts, I'm thinking, believe what you're saying. Just listen to what you're saying and believe it as well. So I was defending her on this whole 60 days. But as we got further and further into this 60 days, I just sat there thinking, I'm never going to get this money back. This money is not coming back to me. It was just like, this is all these people who have lost their money. We did get an email, probably, I think it was about 2 weeks after the initial one was sent out, saying that refunds had started and 50% of the online customers had received their money back. And I thought, well, that's really unfair. It should be refunded in the order of how people paid. Like, if you paid first, you got your money back first. But as it was pointed out to me, it seemed like she was only refunding people who were online because they were the cheaper tickets. And so I really hope that's not what's happening. I now do have a different theory in my head, which I will get to. I can see we've already done this for 25 minutes, so thank you if you're still with me. After that email, I just thought, I don't think we're going to get this money back. And it's been put out into different groups. I've asked it in my Patreon groups if people have had their money back. I've only had one person say that they've had their money back, but most of the people have been saying they haven't had their money back. And I'm just thinking, surely she's not going to do this. Surely she's going to do the right thing. She's always spoken about supporting each other, being kind to each other, doing the right thing by each other, supporting each other's small businesses. Surely she won't do this. And then we saw the message come up on her business page, and it said that she closed Nelson's Soapery down due to the stress of the conference and being unwell. Now, I should also say, I'm telling you, my brain doesn't work properly these days. I had been told by one of the guest speakers that the reason that the conference had been cancelled was because 50% of the guest speakers had pulled out, whereas we were told it was because 50% of the attendees had pulled out. So who knows what happened there. Anyway, back to this. Now, the email that I had on the 23rd of April actually came from her Gmail account, her Rhonda Nelson Gmail account. And I think this is why some people get newsletters and other people don't, is because they come from different email addresses. She either sends them from her private one or her Gmail account, or from the Australian Soap and Candle email account. And I think this is why some people get them, some people don't, because she doesn't have the same people on each of those email lists. And I've been relying on talking to other people and asking them what emails and sending my emails on to them so that we can all actually stay in the same loop. But this email that came through on the 23rd of April was from her Gmail account. It said the deposits would all be done, or refunds would be done within 60 days. Now, I will admit there was another one sent on the 25th of April from the conference email account saying within 60 days. And then I've actually seen other posts and whatnot saying by the end of June. So this refund period just keeps getting extended. So I've actually just now at this point lost all trust in anything that comes out of her mouth, because I've been told so many different stories along the way that I actually don't know what is true and what isn't true. To the point that I don't even know if she's sick, which makes me feel terrible, because if she is sick, that is not a good thing. And, you know, that's what she has announced on her soap making page, that she's closed down because she is sick. But honestly, I don't believe any of it. The reason I really don't believe that is because she has now actually started a brand new business called Rhonda Jane Pottery, has bought a really expensive kiln and is still doing markets and whatnot. If you are that sick, you cannot start a new business which requires more effort. I don't know. Anyway, back to this email. 60 days. The first email, 60 days. That was yesterday, the 22nd of June. The money was not in. And so this morning, I actually got onto PayPal. I found the transaction and I put a dispute in. And within minutes, I got a denied. And the reason it was denied was because the transaction was more than 180 days old. It's like, you have got to be kidding. I have bought these tickets in good faith and I am no longer protected because I had to buy my tickets in advance. It's just like, right, I'm going to call PayPal. I'm going to stay nice and calm. It's not PayPal's fault. You know, it is their policy. You know, you can't have a eternal protection policy, but I did think it was really unfair that she was allowed to sell something so far in advance that that protection policy didn't protect me. So I have actually called them. I spent half an hour on hold before I spoke to this lovely, lovely lady. And I said, look, this is the pickle. She's been selling tickets since last year. I said, so I had good faith in her. I bought the tickets in June of 2024, as in she's cancelled the conference in April of 2025 with the promise of a refund. I said, but I'm not covered by protection because she's selling something outside of your protection period. I said, is there absolutely nothing that can be done about this? I said, because I know I'm not the only one in this situation. I know that she's taken money from a lot of people. And I said, I have a gut feeling that she has only refunded people that paid within the last 6 months. And anyone who has paid outside of that 6 months, she knows we've got nowhere to go. Like, this is just really, really cruel what she's done. She went and spoke to her supervisor and she came back to me and she came back with an offer, and I was actually quite surprised at what they offered me. I'm not going to go into it because I know from speaking to someone else they have been offered something else, but basically both of our cases are being looked into, and that they are messaging her to say, oi, where is this refund? With my case, they've said they're going to email her, but we'll see where it actually goes. And with someone else's case, they've actually forced it to be reopened, even though it's more than 180 days old. But they also didn't get the bonus that I got. But what they did say, she said to me, she said, now that you've actually raised this dispute, we've put a red flag against her name. If we get another dispute, we'll start investigating her. And I said, I can tell you right now, a friend of mine is also on the phone to another of your colleagues about this same case. And I said, I know there are lots of other people in the same situation as me. And she said, well, if they actually get multiple disputes like it, basically she'll lose her PayPal account and she will not be able to start another PayPal account in any name. Unless she has some false name, but she would need false paperwork and everything for that as well. So that's kind of given me a little bit of relief. Even if I can't get the money back, I know that if she can't have a PayPal account, she can't scam people through PayPal. So I'm now stuck in limbo. I still don't think I'm ever going to get that money back. I am so disappointed in her after all of the support that I gave that conference as not only Soy and Shea as being a guest speaker, but through donations that I made as both Soy and Shea and Pimp My Soap. Pimp My Soap I donated to the year I went as a conference speaker, and I also donated the following year. I don't know if anyone ever received what I donated, but I did actually support her a lot through that conference. And this is the repayment that I've had. It's a situation that I know many other people are in. So if you are in the same situation that you have not yet received your money back, and you've got that email that was sent on the 23rd of April saying that it would be done within 60 days, go and lodge a PayPal dispute. And if your payment is denied because it's more than 180 days old, call them, call PayPal. Even if you have to sit on hold for half an hour like I did, please call them and speak to them and explain to them that you had to buy the tickets. Explain to them that she was being allowed to sell tickets to an event that was more than 180 days out of their policy, and therefore it's not fair that the policy doesn't cover you because of that setup. She should not have been allowed to sell tickets for an event that far out if the protection wasn't going to cover us. So please try and get your money back, because honestly, if we don't do anything, nothing's going to happen. And she really needs to be stopped. She has now started a new business. And if she was really that sick, she shouldn't have been physically able to start that new business. I've never really heard from her what that sickness was, though I have been told she had melanoma. My mum was a radiation therapist, and she said, skin melanoma can be treated very easily. And if it's anything worse than skin melanoma, she wouldn't be able to start this new business. So please, if you have been caught by this as well, please go and lodge a complaint with PayPal if that's how you paid. And if you did it on credit card, go and lodge the complaints with your banking people, because she can't get away with this. This is really bad. And I also hope that by sharing everything that's been going on in the background to those of you that didn't purchase tickets, you'll stop saying to me, poor Rhonda, because there's so much that's gone on in the back here that honestly, I feel cheated, I feel deceived, and I have honestly lost all respect and trust for the woman now. Wow, what a way to finish a vlog. I am so sorry. I know I've talked for a lot of that, so thank you if you are still with me. I didn't mean to finish it on such a long rant and so negatively, but I really do think it was important to share, so those people who have also been caught out on this know that they do have some options, because I know some people have only paid $170. I say only. $175 is still a lot of money. Some people have paid $99, and then there's people like me who have paid $384. And I feel really bad for those that paid the full $480 for the 2-day conference. But it is what it is. Hopefully I can give some good news, a good update on it in the future. We will see what happens. But I don't want to finish too negatively on this vlog. So something happy. Well, I say happy, but how miserable does she look? Miss Peppa is doing really, really well. The first day that we had to spray her feet, we had an absolute fight about it. Poor hubby got ripped to pieces while we were trying to spray her. The spray doesn't hurt, but it was just a sort of weird sensation. I am now up to the point of I spray a foot and give her a treat, spray the next foot, give her a treat. And last night she was so well behaved. But the good news is she has stopped chewing these feet, so it's obviously helping to clear them up, and she is much happier. She's also been sleeping all the way through the night. So clearly all this grooming that she's been doing at night is part of this irritation. So really, really pleased with that outcome. And they're not looking as red today as well. And then let me have a look. Her chin's still a little bit red, but it's not as red as it was the other day. So, and she's so much happier. There is such a difference in her sort of her lively attitude. So right now she's just giving me really disgusted looks, but she's doing so much better now. Anyhow, I'm going to go and do what I need to do over on my bench here, and then I'm going to get on to some sewing and we'll get this video out for you as well. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, I'm sorry to finish on such a negative this month, and hopefully next month it will be less negative. So thank you again. Until the next one, I hope you have a good one. I'll see you then. Bye.